Can we appreciate this location? I'm sorry. I am a sucker for nature. In fact, y'all can never catch me outside like that. Unless there's trees that I can hug. Hi guys! Welcome back to my channel. If you're new, welcome. I'm so glad to have you here. And if you're not new and you came back, I've missed you and thank you for coming back. Today, I have actually a pretty interesting topic that I want to share with you guys because I believe in it and I think you should too. I'm specifically going to be talking about how to stop forcing and to start receiving. Let me be real with you. You say you want peace, success, love, abundance, but your energy is still in chase mode, begging, hustling, gripping at anything sent your way. I'm sorry? So at this point, you're not manifesting, but you are trying to control. And the truth is, you don't need to force anything that's meant for you. You just have to be open enough to receive it. So let's talk about it. Before we can start diving into anything, we need to distinguish the difference between forcing and receiving. When you're forcing energy, it feels like desperation. It feels like you're overthinking every single move. You're pushing your body when your body is telling you to rest. And you're always trying to prove your worth. And you're also obsessing over time, people, outcomes. Like you're stressing, okay? In the end, forcing is rooted in fear, right? It comes from the fact that you most likely do not trust life or you do not trust yourself. So now that we have come to terms to what forcing is, let's settle what receiving is and how it feels. Receiving energy feels like flow, patience, letting go of outcomes, and knowing your worth without needing to prove it to anyone. Also knowing what's yours will find you wherever you are, because what's yours cannot pass you by. And aligning your energy, not chasing people or things or outcomes. In the end, desperation repels, but alignment attracts. The universe does not respond to pressure, but it does respond to presence and how you act. And I think most importantly in moments of distress, that's really where you're setting the foundation for change. The minute that when something happens, you don't succumb to your old limiting beliefs, but you rather take the challenge and change the narrative in your mind. Energy speaks even louder than words. If you realize you have a problem with forcing things, then let's dissect why and where it came from. You were probably taught, maybe most likely at a very young age, that you have to work really hard to be worthy or successful. You learned that most likely love only comes to you when you perform or when you succeed or when you do something right or prove yourself. You're also afraid that if you stop trying, then nothing will end up finding its way to you. You end up reaching a point where you associate doing with safety, however, receiving with risk. Like, for example, you text first, you follow up twice, you offer too much, and it's not because you're too kind, but it's because your nervous system equates silence with abandonment. So it's trying to fill up the space, as if you have control over who can and can't leave. Forcing always comes from fear. Receiving comes from faith and healing. Healing is very important because you have to really face yourself. In these moments, you start to feel like you're doing everything wrong and everything was your fault, but really it was not. And you really have to find compassion and empathy for yourself because you're figuring out this information now. You can't blame yourself for things that you had no awareness on, but now that you do have awareness, as I said, it is your responsibility to work on it and heal from it, so you can hold space and feel safe when the right things come into your life. But if you keep operating from fear, then no matter what comes your way, you're going to react to it the same way because that's your nervous system. It's going to see anything coming new into your life as a threat because of uncertainty, because of anxiety, because of past traumas. But you don't have to feed into it. You can trust yourself to notice red flags and to trust your body to tell you how it feels in order to act from there. But assuming and falling into anxiety is working from a lack mindset, and I have a video about abundance and lack mindset and I will put it in the description below for you to watch, which I suggest you do because it changed my life and I know it would for you too. Let's keep going. So now the moment we've all been waiting for, right? How to switch from forcing to receiving. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna slow down our energy. We're going to breathe before we act, and we're going to pause before we chase. Because urgency is rarely aligned. It comes from lack and it comes from fear. However, a pause is powerful because it gives you time to call that energy back to yourself and really see if that's what you really want to do. The next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna sit our pretty little butts down and we're gonna ask ourselves, is this faith or is this fear? And where is it coming from? Because before you reach out or hustle or overwork, you need to understand that you don't need to hustle for what's already yours. Here is actually what helped me the most, which is practicing soft action. Show up with intention and then release control. We are going to start trusting in the divine timing. Before you go anywhere, set the intention. I don't need to perform. I don't need to do anything in order for me to be respected, chosen, and loved. I am worthy exactly as I am. I trust who I am, and I know I don't need anybody to validate that. And you're not gonna force anything, okay? You're not gonna force people to talk to you. You're not gonna force careers to take you. Even if you felt like it was your dream job, okay? You look somewhere else, somewhere similar, but somewhere else. You don't give up, okay? A no is not a block. A no is a redirection. So the point here is to take the step, but don't strangle the outcome. Don't have expectations. Just have faith. Just know that everything is trying to work out in your favor. But it can't when you're so chaotic and stressed and nobody's even understanding what next step you're trying to take. The last step is going to be to open your capacity to receive. Can you hold love, support, compliments, abundance, or do you deflect it? Sometimes you're not blocked. There's nothing blocking your blessings except your fear of being seen, either receiving or seen in general. Now I'm going to explain a little bit about how to hold space for these blessings and how to recognize what receiving looks like. When someone says hold the space for those things, what does it really mean to hold space for love or success or compliments? Not trying to fill the void. So for example, instead of texting somebody toxic when you're lonely, sit with that discomfort. So with that being said, we're gonna stop saying yes out of guilt. We're gonna start to pause before giving an answer. And we're gonna learn to not fill the space out of fear. We're gonna start holding it with trust. Trust that you can make the right decision. Trust that you know what you're talking about. Trust that you know what you want. Another thing that is holding space is technically regulating your nervous system. Because in the end, you cannot really receive anything that your body still sees as a threat. Let that sink in. If love, rest, success, peace feel unsafe to you, then yes, you're of course going to resist it and you're most likely going to block your own blessings, even if that's what you're consciously trying to manifest. Because subconsciously, behind the curtains, your brain and body actually do not feel safe receiving those things. So it's really important to regulate your nervous system, do things that make you feel at peace, and start working on facing those things that really make you uncomfortable so that your body can learn to familiarize itself to it, and also trust that you know what you're doing. Because maybe you have not been put in a position where you were capable of proving to your body that you can handle this stuff, but now you can. Now you have awareness and now you know where to step from. And we're gonna learn to pause and really reflect. This is how you really build awareness. Lastly, holding space is really believing that it's on its way. Believing it and acting like it's already on the way. We're going to clean our space like abundance is visiting. Basically make space for it to come and feel comfortable in your space. Because you know, when there's hoarding and there's a lot of stuff and whatever, like you're gonna buy more stuff, sure, but it doesn't look pretty, doesn't feel satisfying, it's too much, it's too messy, it's too whatever. You don't even want to be in that space anymore. So that's why you need to clean it up emotionally, spiritually, physically, however it feels for you. Listen to yourself. Another way is like speaking like the love you want is already here. You already have it. Lastly, it's similar to resting like how your future self would. Because your future self has everything that you're manifesting, and your future self understands that you cannot work hard without resting harder. Okay? You're not a machine. You gotta respect that. This is what it looks like to live as if the thing is coming, but without chasing it or feeling the need to do it. Holding space is like staying open long enough to be met without rushing to fill in the void or the gap with fear, substitutes, or noise. So here we are. This is everything you need to start this new journey of learning to relax, to calm the F down, and to really start living in the present moment without the fear that there isn't enough or that it's never going to come. Because if that's where you're functioning from, then of course it's never going to come. That's what you're saying, you know? And also don't be very judgmental with yourself, because you've grown up and you've been conditioned to believe this is the right way to do things. And nobody teaches you that you're capable of changing that. And in fact, it's something nobody really talks about very openly. They see it as something crazy, but it's actually physics, it's actually science, and you can literally research it yourself. So your whole life you've been forcing because you've been taught that control is safety. It equals to safety. But true safety lives in surrender. Because in the end, you don't need to convince life to bless you. You just need to stay out of your own way so that they can come to you. Start showing up today and every single day like you trust it's already done. Because it is. Everything you want is already on its way. You don't have to chase it. You only have to receive it. Thank you so freaking much for watching this video. I love you guys. I'm really grateful, and I'm actually very excited to be here with you guys and sharing more and more and more with you. This is just the beginning. So as I said, get used to me, because I'm here for a good time and a long time. And I hope that you learned something good from this video. If this video reminded you to soften up, slow down, and surrender, then leave a like and subscribe. And send this to someone who needs to stop forcing too. There's room for all of us to evolve. There's room for all of us to receive and receive exactly what we want. And lastly, drop a comment. What's one thing you're ready to receive without chasing it? Hi. Gang, come say hi to the YouTube.
Yo, what's up? Look at the Mac. What's up? What's up? What's up?
Yeah, I can edit it later. Subscribe, 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 subscribe.
You said it like one of those live streamers.
Really? Come
Thank you
say
for the
hi.
rose.
Thank you for the rose. Thank you for the rose. Thank you for the rose.
She's gonna eat a cookie.
Okay.
I'm gonna eat a cookie.
Thank you for the cookie. Thank you for the cookie.
Gotta crash one more time. You better listen to Gaia. Gaia, in a past life, was a very powerful spiritual leader. So she's reincarnated into Gaia. You might not believe this shit, but it's real. So
His words, not mine. I'm not gonna say anything. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.